the revenue in within 6 months to a 30% increase in the general revenue base of the company. Thank you.
That is really good as well. Okay. Yeah, Bumi.
Okay, I think another quality initiative that I did, which was very crucial to the success of our team, was what we call the data protection, which involved ensuring that our data is secured in a safe place and access is only granted to important people. The access is just restricted to those who are in charge and is not accessible to those who are not authorized. So one major thing that really helped to implementing this process was setting up like a authenticity code that ensured that whoever wants to access the data is legal and has followed due procedures which allow them entitled to access this data. And also, because we understand that data quality is very important and our data must also be compliant with the company's policies. So that was very important for us to set up the data protection structure. So another thing was to set up data stewards who were educated and trained as regards the value of data, how data should be protected and how data should be used. So I made them to understand that data quality should be taken seriously. So it was very beneficial to appoint data steward, people who are responsible for analyzing the data quality, conducting reviews and actually implementing approaches that ensures that our data can be usable for business insights.
That's correct. That's very, very correct. Mentioning policies is very important when it comes to that. And also, the policy, your company policy must be in line with, the laws, the rules, and the laws and regulation that is obtainable within the area. Like, the country could be in Europe or US. Very important when in terms of compliance. When you're mentioning compliance, or then make sure like maybe GDPR or CCPA in America, California. That's very good. That is absolutely. I just love the way all of you came from different angles. Okay, you can hire any initiative from any angle, but don't forget that overall is to ensure that there is integrity in data, and also there is a very good customer insight for as a result of integrity of data that leads to a strategic decision making process. Very, very good. Mention those keywords, keywords are very important when you are talking about your initiative. I'm very impressed. As a matter of fact, everyone here, you could see Olu, are you able to share? You want me to put you able to share your certificates? Those 3 certificates you have at the moment, straight on. Omo, are you able to share yours? Is it possible? Yeah, so if you when you are ready.
As I speak, I'm doing the second one. So
that's very good. When you're ready, you can share if you want to share as well. But first of all, congratulations for both of you. And I'm even progressing some people ahead now. So which is very good as well. Yeah, it's very important. Okay. Excuse me. So I'm gonna put some question across right now. The same question, please. I want you to note this question very well. So take note of this question. If you go to the chat box, I just put a question there. Can you provide an example of a successful governance initiative in a real world scenario? Okay. Now, I asked the same question earlier. but I did not put real world scenario. This was talking about in the real world context. So is it possible somebody relates to it? Anyway, I've already given the answer before. Let me just put the answer right there for you. Maybe I have to change, I have to give you another question. I made mention of regulatory standards for like GDPR rule and whatever. When you talk about compliance, you must have to talk about, what is obtainable at different regions of the world. That's when you talk about real world scenario. So when you relating your policy to compliance, your policy is not independent of what is going on in the real world, as it's obtainable, just as it's obtainable in Europe or in so. So please make sure you make sure that, so that every interviewer will be able to, tell you and maybe probably infer that you actually well grounded in what you are doing. Okay? Okay. And this most common question that be asked is, what are the key components of the robust data governance framework? What are the key components? The key components?
Do I suggest?
Are you suggesting?
Okay, let me put it this way. The key components of a robust data governance framework may include or includes policies and procedures, standards,
Good.
values as a result of the policies, procedures, and standards that you've put in place.
Data quality control.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's just for the purpose of time, because I'm going to spend only 1 hour with everyone here today. The answer to you have actually tried. Components include data stewards, clear policy,
Data
as you said.
Security.
Yes, security, very, very important. Bumi may mention of compliance the other time. If I don't say anything without compliance being there, okay, then she may mention of data steward the other time. And it is the components you have that you, out of the components you carry out your initiative. These things are always going, they can't do independently, so themselves. Clear policies, as if I said, not just policy, clear one, robust enough to meet up with the complexity of data that you are handling at a time. Clear policy, metadata management, define rules, which is a responsibility also accompanying that. Quality control, and also compliance adherence. Please put those things there, right there, because in any question that comes across the way, you're going to be mentioning some of these key things, irrespective of, very important. And for example, but I'm gonna ask, because this is very important. Sometimes they're gonna ask you, the interviewer wants to know within a few minutes whether you are good to go or not. And they may ask you a question: what challenges might organization face while implementing data governance initiatives? What are the challenges?
I think ownership of that.
Most of the challenge.
Sorry, I want somebody at a time to talk. I know you people are on fire now.
One of the important challenges organizations face is the implementation of the acceptance of the framework, these policies itself, which you want to introduce, because some of them are coming from a background of historical ways of how they do things. So first of all, you will face the challenge of having to be accepted first, an approval, and this has to, in most cases, it has to come from the very top, the executive and other stakeholders.
That's correct.
And other challenges may include training and education in terms of people wanting to be trained about the new initiatives you're going to put in place so that they understand the importance of what's in place. Thirdly is what is the remuneration such that it will encourage data governance professionals to come out with proper detailed policies, procedures in place. So sometimes companies do not understand that this set of people are an important and integrated part of their functions in the business. So sometimes they don't want to pay as much money because they will be wondering what kind of thing do you want to bring into place. And that's let me allow others to continue.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, you really said well too. Bumi wanted to speak too as well. Thank you so much, Amo.
For me, I would say one of the challenges facing most organizations is resistance to change. No one likes change. So change is always a difficult thing to implement in most organizations because we all have our set ideas, set standards on how we want to do things. So when you go into especially what is supposed to be a brownfield environment, you're going to meet a lot of stakeholders in there who will say, no, this is the way we've always done it. Why do you want to bring in any new policy or any new change to that?
That's correct.
Can you hear? Okay. And then, of course, another thing will be security, and that will be security concerns or data quality issues. Inaccurate information is where data quality issues come in. How complete is the data? And then who is willing to take that, who is willing to take the, how will I say, to take the
ownership. Yeah.
cloud, take the ownership, who is willing to take it to make sure those, the data, especially when it's got to do with historical data, who's willing to take ownership of that and making sure it's as complete as possible. So, of course, this is where the training comes in that Mr. Omo was talking about. If you have well-trained stewards, then yes, implement. But when they're not well-trained stewards, then, of course, again, the resistance to change comes in. Why do I have to go back on historical data to start completing what someone else should have done in the first place? Thank you.
Thank you. That is really cool.
Yeah, Pastor.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot everyone has mentioned there that are quite similar, but one or two things which I noted down on my own notes in terms of interview questions is one of the challenges about this is budgets and resources, which is a vital obstacle or challenge when it comes to implementing data governance, and also cross-functional collaboration.
That's good.
And cross-functional is a major big deal in an organization. And also changing management. Another key factor is responsibility.
That's good.
Yeah, and establishing also policy and procedures is another challenge as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bumi, thank you so much, Louis. These are very key. Bumi?
Bumi, yeah, there's no
What I wanted to say, she has said it already, the issue of data ownership.
You sent it.
No, I said what I wanted to say. She has already said everything. The issue of data ownership.
Yeah,
That was one very important issue that I feel like
very important.
And I think clear roles and responsibilities. I don't know if somebody mentioned it. The issue of clear roles and responsibility.
Yeah.
I think
defining it actually is one of the obstacles out there right now.
Good.
Making a balance and also balancing accessibility and security as well.
Yeah, I'm very pleased. I'm very pleased I have people on fire here. You're going to be interviewing the interviewers all the time. The way, I don't know when you first interview now, it's like we don't know who is interviewing who. I'm very, very pleased, to be quite honest. That shows ability to absorb and being trained. And then I'm very also more pleased seeing Bumi flying like normal business. Really, I'm going to be there. We are going to be there for anyone who is ready to. But just to be quite honest, the way you are confident in speaking, everyone speaking, you using the right word at the right time, and that is the key to everything. Okay, interestingly, if you see Barrister Emmanuel even put something there, he saying interestingly, a lot of these challenges have financial undertone, which Louis referred to the other time as well. So as Louis was speaking, Barrister was speaking, putting it as well, the same time. So, so when you talk about financial undertone, you should know now that some of the program you're gonna put in, the stakeholder, especially the chief executive officer, will be thinking that, how am I going to commit such a budget on? So that's why we were talking about budget last time. It's also, don't forget, the question is about might organization, that is what challenging might organizations. The work is
Also, Pastor, measuring success, which is identifying priority metrics to indicate the success of your data.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that the indication, you are going to be the one who's going to set that one out.
Yeah.
You're going to set it out. So that is the reason why some of the owners, the data owner, don't want to take responsibility, because your criteria could be very high, your standard could be very high, but you don't compromise your criteria because it's a best practice for you to set that to ensure the data has value or have profit. There's profit margin being created at the end of your initiative. That is very important, you know. You don't shake and then let them be the one who says, okay, we don't have enough budget to carry out this initiative, especially when, you know, Olubumi was talking about steelways, employing some steelways to make sure your program runs successfully. If they don't have enough money, and then how would they be? So if you, as a data governance manager, want to carry out some of the initiative yourself, then they should think about really increasing your financial remuneration.
Yes.
Yeah, do you understand? So that's why our training is quite different. We're not just training for data governance, we're training them to become also a data analyst,
I put that one Bumi mentioned, another maintaining momentum.
Yeah, so it's very important. I'm
very
here I put an answer. Challenges could include resistance to change, which Madam said the other time, and then also a lack of data awareness. Yes, complexity in compliance requirements, which of course one of you mentioned as well. Okay, and the difficulty in aligning with different departmental objectives, which of course data owner is always going to be the problem, like managers and whatever. So of course, what is it in it for me? So now when you meet things like this, how can you mitigate against them matters? Well, in this case, you may have to consider a lot of awareness, a lot of workshop training, and have other meetings. It just stress most important about the value that will be created from the data that are made. So anyway, I'm very pleased on that. Well, you know, the reason why all these questions that are coming right from here, there is about best practice. About best practice, very important.
I think, Pastor, we need to also talk about like what you just said now, which is very important. Mitigations against all of the things we've answered. If we can really expand on that. And
so how can organization overcome resistance to change when implementing data governance? That's more or less what what Omo is trying to bring up now.
Exactly. First, I will suggest here that I would say that you don't like the word suggest. I will say that in my last role, I was able to mitigate against a whole lot of the resistance to change by way of ensuring that I was able to sell my governance framework initiative to the chief executive and other stakeholders. I had a meeting with them together with other cross-functional departments where I was able to, put across all these initiatives and what the value it would be to the company, and that without doing this, they are likely not to meet the challenges of their competitors, and that is very paramount that we are able to, set a time target for the implementation, so that we can see the outcome in terms of values and what again values and compliance and security and protection. I don't really know, but that's it for me.
Yeah, oh, thank you. I mean, you've done well. Yes. Any other person?
For me, I would say communication is very key when you're trying to introduce change into any company, because we get that all the time in a lot of organizations, whether it's data governance or any other kind of implementation or any kind of policy being implemented. Reason being, most times when a company is saying we're introducing this, the thing that comes to most people's minds is, okay, here we go. There's going to be a reduction in staff. People are going to be laid off because they've suddenly brought in this new thing that is going to do what 3 people are meant to be doing. That person is going to be doing it. It's just like when they introduced this, this self-checkout machines in most of the superstores, like Asda and the rest of them. I'm sure a lot of people resisted that because it automatically meant a reduction in staff manpower. So they resisted that. But then at the end of the day, you can see the benefits, especially when you only have, there are benefits to us who are the consumers, but there are benefits to the staff, but there are also disadvantages, because sometimes you go there, these self-checkout machines are not even working the way they're meant to be working. So you still have to go back again to look for a staff to help you. So I think communicating the reason why you want to implement that data governance policy or whatever, or initiative or anything, it's very key. And then, of course, you provide examples with how it will enhance whatever decision is being made, or how it will make the organization more efficient, which is what the initiative is meant to do. So, and then you demonstrate it to them. And then, of course, you can do like some sort of survey with all the employees in there to say that, right, I want people to be involved in the planning and decision-making process to make them feel like so that when they see whatever initiative has been done, they will say, oh, I was a part of that. Even when you leave that organization, say, oh, I was a part of those people who implemented blah, 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 so. And then, of course, making sure that all the cross-functional team are actively involved. Because once you talk about trying to do something like that, you're talking to the IT department without involving the HR. Of course, if IT department say, this is what we're doing, and we want HR to be part of it, HR is going to say, you know what, sort of, I don't want to know what people have got there, because ours is better than what you've got. So making sure the cross-functional teams are actively involved will be one key part of overcoming resistance to change.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Pastor, going to what Madam just mentioned on a key, something came to my head just now, because in terms of data governance, in a way, I would say, I'm not sure if it's allowed, but rather it could be a bit selfish if I put it that way, because she said one word, survey. Now, when a data governance takes survey data from the community and they see, okay, this community involves massive amounts of elderly people, but also a minimum amount of younger people within the area. And for instance, a shop, be it Tesco or wherever it is, and you see that, okay, people are actually taking goods from the till, from the shelves, but there's a huge queue on the tills, indirectly to maximize productivity, and thereby the queue gets so bad that even the information from the camera or whatever or the security now tell you that they see people even drop. I've seen situations where people drop what they shopped for and just leave. They couldn't deal with the queue. Now, with the data governance coming into place and having a survey like what she said, yes, it does make sense to implement cashless service where you don't have to pay cash, and self-service tills where other youths can go in there. But that also takes out the job of people on the tills.
Okay.
Now, would you say data governance is a bit you implementing that?
Yeah.
Definitely, you're going to reduce the workload. Would in a board? Do you
Yeah,
think that's
I think,
acceptable at all or not?
yeah, I think,
But the outcome is good.
yeah, I think the bringing that as part of the is a more or less is she using that to buttress the what she was saying. She was she said actually communication and collaboration with others, and then she mentioned of survey. That survey is like, more or less we're trying to mitigate against resistance that the organization may face. Now that survey will probably be within the organization itself. Louis, that survey will be within the organization itself, not like other customer issue coming in to do something. Survey within talking about change, now resistant to change within the organization, not like dealing with clients. But your scenario would be like, for example, it's a usual story when you are dealing with Scrum. And no doubt, if you're dealing with Scrum, I can give you a very sincere answer to that very well. Because if those are the story from the stakeholder, from the client itself, that what they are having as a problem or whatever, it becomes an issue. So then first of all, the business analyst will just begin to analyze things with the backlog holder. And with that Scrum, okay, the agile environment. But now coming back to what we're talking about survey, there is within the, if I'm not making a mistake, that's what's
Someone is raising up their hand though.
Okay.
Adam.
No, you're very correct in what you're saying. Is within the organization. It won't be outside the organization. It's just like, it's like in any organization when they wanted to introduce driverless trains on London Underground, there was a lot of resistance.
Yes.
Of course, the union raised up arms. Everyone raised the different. They're different things, but now everyone is coming to terms with it. Even when they said they wanted to do all night, 24-hour train service where the trains run through the night, there was a lot of resistance. Of course, there's always the proponents which will say, yes, it will bring about more jobs and all that. And of course, there are also people that will say, no, it will make us lose jobs and all. But in every organization, there's always resistance. There's no organization where I've worked where there has been no resistance to change. As long as you say it's going from the norm, deviating from the norm, you would have people kicking up about it. So it's the same thing too for data governance. You're trying to implement a new initiative or trying to bring in something which is meant to help everyone in that organization. You would always have the key players who
help the organization, but does it help the workers? No.
I think we should be very clear between what we call data governance and structural adjustment in a workplace. Because both of them are two different things altogether. If there are structural adjustments in the workplace where people will have to be asked to look, we can no longer take you on board, or as a result of a change of certain things, we are reducing the workforce to make the place
No organization will ever tell you they're reducing the workforce.
Exactly.
Organization.
Catalan has been doing it.
Who?
Yeah. So let me come in here.
Okay,
Catalan has been doing it.
Let me come in here quickly, so that we should not be out of the context of our discussion. So you see, when you look at the question, it's very clear there. Okay, how can organization overcome resistance to change when implementing data governance? We have to keep it in context as it is. Okay, and well, I have received a lot of answer from all of you anyway. Even before the question was asked, I already answered it. But then Elmo was still asking that we should say something about it. And I see everyone saying something about it, working with time, and I love that. Another question came up again. After you have endeavored to convince stakeholders they are resistant, they're still resistant, and they are resistant to change, what will you do? So I think it was replied by, if they say engage in dialogue, get team leaders involved, etc., and offer training. And then I think the person was convinced, Noble was convinced, say, thank you. This is why Nigeria does not have 24 what? Okay, 24. That's what I see here, but I think 24-hour power supply resistance to change. A lot of people benefiting from
Good one.
No, but
So that's what I'm saying now.
I love this.
Like what Omo just said, that is two different things. But in that place, the data government itself brings change into the structure itself on how it's being processed.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So the data government is the core change in a structural adjustment.
No, yeah, but the thing is that don't forget we're talking about how can we mitigate against. Now, you as a data governor, as you rightly said, Louis, it has brought up that change to take place, and people are resisting. There must be reason why they are resisting it. Especially you may mention a budget and whatever as well. Barrister Manuel may mention a financial undertone. It is so they can bring a structure. You can bring a change. They can resist it because of a reason, but how will you mitigate against that change? That's what matters right now. And if you look at Olubumi say it can be a feedback survey. We think that's what we think.
The survey is what I've noticed, because at work, when they are talking to a customer and the customer calls a line and they have to go through voicemail, talking to a machine or male or female voice it is, and eventually a live human being picks up the call, responds to them and say, okay, I'll give you a call back later. Do you know what they say to me? Do you mean, Louis, I have to go through all these voicemails things again to get back to you? And I said, unfortunately, yes, I don't have control of that. I have to tell my manager that people are complaining about this thing. And he said he can only relate it to also his other top bosses, but I
can tell you right now that what you mentioned right now is a big issue in America. Some people, people use it as a comparative advantage over their competitors, a competitive environment.
Yes.
They will say, you know what? No machine will answer your phone. Individual will answer your phone.
On LBC, even a company advertised
so they're using
an insurance company.
That to
and the next thing they said, do I have to talk to robots? They said, no, not at all. You always talk to live people. So it was more portraying, they are selling themselves that in our place.
They want to be exceptional in terms of dealing with clients, so that clients can have a very good insight. And I know what that plays. But whichever may be the case, don't forget that it doesn't matter the initiative you carry out, the essence of it is to maximize and optimize yourself. Yeah, so that's what matters. Okay, so I really love all the answer to the question you give. Is not limited to the one I put on the chat box. The answer I put there is just engage employees early, very early. You know they're going to face resistance. So we have known this already. So provide comprehensive training, communication, what my FA said the other time, communicate benefits effectively. The word effectively is very important. You can say, these are the benefits. No, but effectively is the key there. Communicate, the benefit, not excluding the profit margin that will come as a result of value integrity. Effectively, and involve them in the decision-making process. Don't be autonomous in taking decision. What do you think? How do you think? What do you think? If your data are well arranged, where you have a high quality, what do you think? Would it not be nice? Okay, can we do that? What do you think? They make them more participatory, not spectators of the glorious change. You made them be a participator of the same change you really want them to buy into. I love this.
Exactly. Say, for example, in the NHS, you can even say if you were trying to implement some sort of data governance change in the NHS, you can even tell Sister Cynthia, remember the last time you're trying to look for someone's information on the system and you couldn't find it? If we have a centralized database and you're looking for XYZ information, with that centralized database, I'm sure you can pull it up straight away. She will say, "Oh my God, that would be so perfect because I spent 30 minutes looking for just so person's information and I couldn't get it because it's all over the place. We have so many people all over the place." You tell them now, once you have this master database or whatever, you'll find that all that will be a thing of the past. She will be the one to even tell people the benefits of doing something.
Do we get that?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. Now, I know some of you will be going for interviews, so I'm kind of preparing people very strong. I say, how now the next question I'm putting there, how do you decide which type of visualization to use for your specific data set? Because last time we were doing Power BI, a question like that goes, okay, when Louis wanted to visualize, it's okay, which one will you choose from that? So that's the question I'm putting in here right now.
Okay.
How do you decide which type of visualization to use for a specific data set?
All right. First, the type of visualization I will use first will come from the tool I'm using. If it is Power BI, if it is Tableau, if it's Excel, because these all tools have different, although Power BI and Excel use the same engine in terms of visualizations. So if I'm using Power BI, very likely, which is very popular among people, among companies and organizations, I will first of all source my database.
No, I think the question is about visualization. It's not about your process. It's the end of it. You have finished transforming.
Okay.
So
I
you
think
want
the
to visualize it.
best to
I
use for
think
your visualization is what actually communicates your point clearly across the board.
yes, exactly.
That's the one you should go for.
Yeah, so how?
I think, for example, the purpose of visualization is for our data to tell a story.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And there are different types of visualization. There are some visualization that aim to expose, describe. There are some that aim to explain. There are some that aim to review. So I think having that in mind and also knowing the audience, who are you going to be showing this data to? What is the key message your data is trying to pass across?
Yep.
Which tool are you confident in ensuring that it can portray the data you're trying to explain?
I like that
And
word.
who are the people you're going to be explaining this data to? I think when you have these three things in mind, that would help you to choose. For example, now there are so many visualization tools according to Power BI. We have the bar chart, we have the scatter pilot chart, we have the what they call this one, this line graph.
Yeah.
And all of them has their unique selling point. Each of them has a kind of data you can portray them with. So I think for bar chart now, if you want to say a percentage, you definitely know that a bar chart is going to be a better graphical tool,
a more effective one.
Your distance. So I think having knowledge of all this visualizing, the most common one, then all these visual tools, their key selling point. I think that will be helpful in helping us to identify but with all these things in mind, I think having these information will help me to decide the kind of tool that can pass my message across.
Yeah,
I don't know if it makes
Somebody
sense.
said on the chat that confidence is the key in selling to an audience.
Yeah, thank you so much, Olu. So I can tell you, I think you're overdue now to do So to be quite honest, I know why I'm sending this to you. The thing is that it's about confidence. Because I have given you notes. If you go to my notes during my training, the answer is right there. It's right there. The first slide or second slide of visualization, you will see the answer right there, probably. I've given you an answer here. A selection depends on the data's nature, the objectives, and the story. That's what Bumi is related to, the story we want to convey. For example, line charts for trends over time, pie chart for proportional data, and scatter pilots for relationship analysis. So if you go around all of them, I gave you, historically, you may be seeing about 4 to 5, but I gave you up to 12 different type of visualization. As Olu said, depends on the story you want to tell, the audience you want to deal with as well. And you must have confidence in relating, telling the story properly, the nature of it. Are you with me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Clearly, sir.
So we don't need to dwell much on that. We don't need to dwell much on that. That's very good. Okay, and also, because you have given such an answer, I want to ask a question relating to the same answer. Can you discuss the importance of storytelling in data visualization?
Okay, the importance of telling a storyline on the data. So is that what you're related to?
Can you discuss the importance of storytelling in data visualization? The importance of it.
It first of all, it portrays your skill on how in-depth you have an insight on what's going on with the data.
That's correct.
Also transferring and elaborating more on the current situation of the company, which gives informed information to the stakeholders to get on board with what and open their ideas on how either it can be developed to maximize its output or outcome, and also things to watch out for in terms of risk and so more. It gives you a lot. It gives you a lot. Gives the stakeholders more leverage to know an in-depth of what is going on. So that's your job too. It's quite important to elaborate more on what's going on.
Thank you so much for that and for that answer. Any other person?
Storytelling allows the captures the audience. Like for example, we're talking about implementing changes in a company through data governance. I was talking about the story of Sister Cynthia in the NHS. I'm sure if we ask now, everybody can remember the story I said of Sister Cynthia. They would just remember straight away the story. But if I had said something using big words and the rest, no one would remember that. But because I said Sister Cynthia in the NHS and telling her that, look, if we have this data here, we have that there, to be easy for you to do what you want to do. It's easy for us to remember. I mean, it's like gossiping. It's easy to gossip to someone about something, and immediately it picks that person's interest. When I start saying, do you know what she did? Do you know what he did? Blah, blah, blah. The person will be able to report that story verbatim some other time when he sees someone else, and even embellish it to make it even more interesting. So this is why storytelling is important in visualization. It engages the human interest. It simplifies the whatever complex data you're giving to them. When you say data duplication, someone who's not been on the course will say, wait a minute, what's the training talking about? But when you say, have you seen a situation where you have 10 John Smiths in a database and then you're trying to clean it up by adding date of birth, address, blah, 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 all sorts of metadata to John Smith, immediately that person will understand what you're talking about. So storytelling captures the audience interest. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I think in addition to what she said, that storytelling helps your audience to understand, to remember, and also to take action based on the data that you have visualized to them. It gives them something to think about. So once you portray that data, they're like, I'm okay, let's take an action, because you've portrayed that data in a clear manner that they understand, and they can buy into your idea too. So I think most importantly, storytelling helps your stakeholders and the people you are visualizing your data to take action based on your data.
Okay,
As a
so it's
simple-
more like stating case studies of lineage of situations that has occurred in the past in the organization and relating it to your current presentation and also mitigating it as well.
Yeah, you all said it all. You know, my answer I giving right now is not whatever you say here now. The answer to the question is not limited to what I'm giving. You have said it all. Basically, you make sure you talk about stakeholder in the answer. I talk about the stakeholder includes the audience specifically as well. So storytelling in data visualization involves crafting a narrative of what, like as you said, Louis, the lineage, the beginning, the current, and what you might even recommend. You're talking about this before you visualize, you have to do a lot of analytics. It could be descriptive, prescriptive, and whatever that you need to give, or one that's relating to current recommendation. So basically, is actually involves crafting a narrative to convey what insights effectively. It's not just understanding, must be done effectively to convey what? To convey the data more, so that the data may be more reliable and what? Or relatable, and also engaging for the audience that you are targeting, especially when you have your marketing niche. Very important. Okay, please take note of this, and I have been so pleased with the response so far. You know, I'm going to give the last question here before I let everyone go today, because I won't spend much time with everyone today, but I hope we are learning something today. Is that true? Is that
Yeah.
okay?
Good. Yes.
Good. Now, how can organization ensure data governance aligns with different departmental goals and objectives? How? I think the answer to the question has been given before, but
Yeah, that was the
How can organization ensure data governance aligns?
I think it's about one or two of the first questions we've answered.
yeah.
And
But
then,
I know why I asked the question, because some of these questions can be done in a different form.
Yeah, that's true.
yeah,
Yeah. So they are trying to test you, to test the ability of your communication and collaboration. Okay.
yeah,
Okay. Now let me just quickly put it there for everyone. So answer is to create cross-functional team involvement, involving representatives from various departments to ensure alignment and collaboration. Anytime you hear the word collaboration, they want to know how effective you can communicate your own program.
Also clearly defining their responsibility.
Yeah, well, that's one, but then
rules.
they have to buy into it before they talk about defining their responsibilities. Okay, it's very important. And the barrister, I'm going to put something just to add to resistance. Okay, if you could recall how I saved a London borough, yeah, that's very, very important. Millions of pounds that other local authorities adopted by recommendations. I had a lot of resistance from my manager, and I was persistent and told the story in a way that was convincing. Okay, that is proper communication. Effectively, when I mean proper, I'm talking about communicating effectively and put everything before them with facts, okay, on how the client and customer was making the local authority of money. That's what that means. Thank you. This is very important. What this thing has conveyed to you, resistance is bound to happen if you are coming with initiative, but how will you be able to mitigate against that resistance matters, really matters. And it requires clear communication, but trusting it with data, which will convey the fact. okay, that they cannot resist because they are the one who actually put a policy in place for data to be reliable. So if data is reliable, you put it before them, this reliable data, they will not be able to come to go against it because they are going against themselves. So such people, if you go against, it's running away from the shadow. I love that. I said, yeah. Yeah, let me just give you just one maybe a question.
I said this is the last one now.
I think it's very interesting. So that is why I just unless if Olubumi said we should stop now, I will just
No,
stop.
let's continue.
Okay. We're talking about tools. What tools or software are you proficient in data visualization? So, in this one, that is where you talk about, they want to know whether you are very good in your data analysis and your analytic prowess, so ability. So what does that mean? What tools or software are you proficient in for data visualization? So Lewis mentioned something like that, or Omo may mention something as well. So I know some of you here already have one. Yeah. So this is where you can make mention of what?
Software now.
This is where you can make mention of Power BI.
Yeah, Power BI. I think Power BI is one of the major ones that are out there. Yeah.
So, yeah, you can use any of the tools. You can use MSQ.
Also Excel.
Excel is
Excel
very
is,
good.
yeah, it's also
Make sure you
for visualization.
when you are talking about Power BI, even if you use it, make sure you mention Excel. Excel is very important.
Yes.
Okay, I'm happy that Olubumi has just got a certificate on Excel as well too, certified. So, you can mention any of those tools. And if you have not come for practical at all, if you not come for practical during training, make sure you let somebody know we book for the next training for practical. Don't fail at all, because I don't want you to have any issue. Oh, I'm a data governance manager. I don't need to, that's not my job. It's still waste for maybe visualization officer or data analyst can do that. No, we are training everyone to be strong here. Okay, we don't want somebody you're a data manager, data governance manager, then somebody will give you rough thing and you don't be able to, govern getting the data, not having integrity. That you can't tell story very well. No, you must know every bit. In fact, the training here gives you a minimum of 5 jobs. It's not data governance. That's why we have prepared our curriculum. That's why I'm asking you some few questions relating to every aspect of, data, so that when you are talking, you're talking like a professional. Okay? And so if you have not done practical, make sure you book for your practical, and then we do that. Okay? The last question I'm going to give here. Okay. Right. So the last question which I'm going to give here. The last question Bumi wants me to give here is how can companies measure the success of their data governance initiatives?
By ensuring that they have scorecards in terms of KPIs, SOPs, setting these various tools which the data governors themselves will have to put in place, and get feedbacks via those scorecards. There are various types of scorecards, like I just mentioned, KPIs, SOPs. There are others which can be analyzed and know whether they are progressing forward or they are not achieving their targets, and either improve or scrap the program altogether.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, it's very important. Another person? Please, this question, you must not fail it at all, because they're going to ask you, okay, you know, when you are giving your initiative, the other time, the first question I asked, telling us the initiative you are carried out, and you told me, at the end of the day, there was customer insight. Okay, before it gets to customer insight, what are the measures you use now to get to that customer insight, to measure whether your initiative is successful? Customer insight is more or less a feedback system. Okay, all right. So, but what are the measures you think you put in place before the?
To me, identifying the what's it called, the metric, the indicators, measuring
Okay.
it.
That's it. That's it. It's not that. It's not that.
Metrics
That's
is
it.
what you just
Yeah,
indicators.
you must.
That's what we
Anytime
use.
you're talking about measurement,
Yeah.
talk about metrics. That's what Omo was trying to talk
And
about
metrics will show
KPI last
what's
time,
going on.
because it is metric you use in your KPI.
True.
You must make sure metrics, the word metrics comes in. So
Keyword.
anything you cannot measure, you cannot manage. Do you understand? And
That
anything
is like
you
you're
cannot
repeating these
manage,
questions again and
you
again and
cannot
again.
control. So there are criteria you put down for management. That's why when Omo mentioned of SOP last time, next time, please, just don't believe that the interviewer know what is called SOP. Make sure you explain it openly. Just bring the word out. Standard operating procedures, which of course, if you follow that standard operating procedure, you are carrying out best practice as a result of metrics you put in place. Okay? So, one more, I'm talking to you particularly.
Yes, I can hear.
Don't just say SOP, because many people may not know the word SOP.
Yeah, that's
So what Louis talked about is about metrics. The metrics are the determinant of SOP to ensure they are the driver of SOP and to ensure best practice, which you will measure later in terms of your KPI.
Yeah.
Okay. So metrics such as data accuracy, because there's metrics for data accuracy.
Yeah.
Okay. There's metric for compliance levels.
Yeah.
And there's metrics for reduced data error.
Security and protection, yeah.
And this improved decision making based on data driven insight can gauge the success of initiatives. So that is about feedback. Somebody put feedback there. I mean, if they put feedback there, that is why the insight is actually the feedback that may come to let's say to measure whether your initiative is successful. Please and please, this question is always, most cases, second to the last question they ask in the interview. Metrics, very important. Okay, very, very important. And I'm very happy with you people today. I think on that note, I will say thank you for coming. Next time we will see. I think I have finished for today. Please, we need to go.
Yes, I'm home.
Question for me later, so people will not want to go. To be quite honest, I'm really packed today. It's just that if I had my way, I would have postponed this training. But I said, no, I love you all to have come, and I want to impart quickly. So this is how it is. And thank you so much for coming.
Okay.
All right now.
Bye, everyone.
Congratulations for those who have their certification.
Congratulations, yeah.
Oh, congratulations, everyone.
Congratulations. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right. On Wednesday, we're going to meet on Wednesday.
Okay. You get a feedback from me regarding the second one I'm doing. The third one, how do are you going to?
Don't worry.